everyone, and welcome to Caribbean Women Honors and Empowerment 16 Days of Activism interview series. My name is Wendy H. Lewis. I am the District Manager and Chair for CWHE, Trinidad and Tobago, and it is my distinguished pleasure to introduce our host for this evening's proceedings. Her name is Mrs. Marsha Bailey Owen, who is a gifted individual with a passion for service and children. Mrs. Bailey Owen is the holder of a bachelor's in social work with minors in psychology and social policy. At the postgraduate level, Mrs. Bailey Owen holds a master's degree in social work with specialization in administration and management. Her career began in the public sector in the area of family intervention, moving on to child protection. As a social work professional, Mrs. Bailey Owen has managed service agencies and social workers in the public sector. Mrs. Bailey Owen's social work experiences ranges from clinical interventions to social work management, policy formulation, and human resources management. Mrs. Bailey Owen is a founding member of Caribbean Women Honors and Empowerment Trinidad and Tobago chapter and has served as Vice Chair and Social Services Director for the past 5 years. Let's welcome Mrs. Bailey Owen.
Hello, good evening. Thank you, Wendy, so much. It's good
You're
to be
more than
here.
welcome. Day 4, we ready for day 4, girl?
Yes, ready.
So let me introduce our guest. Her name is Mrs. Denise Berkley-McLeod, who hails from our sister isle, Tobago. She is the mother of 2 daughters. Denise has been involved in several community organizations, namely Scarborough Police Youth Club and the Mount St. George Police Youth Club. Academically, Denise has done several short courses in peer counseling, mediation, leadership, and empowerment. Her hobbies are reading, gardening, meeting people, and being involved in the community. Denise has a passion for young people. Denise is a survivor of incest and domestic violence. Denise grew up watching her father hitting her mother, and even at her adult age, she experienced domestic violence from the father of her first daughter, who abused her both physically and mentally. At the age of 13, her father started having sexual intercourse with her, and to compound it, she got no support. Every time the sexual abuse took place, her father would tell her mother that she went by a man, which was totally untrue. The abuse happened when her mother was not at home. Denise also went through her second pregnancy with no support from the father, who gave her 3 options, namely abortion, go to Trinidad to work, or give it to another man, none of which she took. A few years ago, Denise met her husband, Roger, who accepted her for who she is. He did not judge her based on her past experiences, and he treats her like a queen. Denise said, "We share love and compliments daily. We discuss matters and we also apologize to each other." At first, Denise considered herself a victim. However, due to her exposure over the years to various programs and reading books by various authors, example, Peace from Broken Pieces by Ian Lavanzan, Denise says proudly, and when she said it, she really said it proudly, "I am not a victim, I am a survivor." Let's welcome Mrs. Denise Berkley-McLeod.
Oh, welcome.
Welcome, Denise.
Welcome, Denise.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good
Good
afternoon.
evening. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from our sister isle, Tobago. I will now be leaving you in the capable hands of Mrs. Bailey Owen, and I will be back at the end with the questions from the Facebook Live.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Wendy. So, Denise, let's begin. I want you to take me back a little bit. And I really want to say on behalf of all the women who are looking on, thank you for your willingness and your openness to share your story. It started as a child. And so in your mind, do you think that counseling and getting support services would have assisted in helping you to tell your story to someone else? Had you been exposed? to
Yes.
counseling as a child?
Yes. Yes, it would have.
It would have assisted.
It would have assisted a lot.
And so I noticed in the bio you said that your mother did not believe when you told her.
Yes, she did not believe.
Okay, talk to us a little bit about that. How did that make you feel, and what was some of the things that you went through by her not believing?
It was hurt. I felt very hurt.
Mm,
Very, very hurt. It's like a little child coming to a parent to say, Mommy, I get licks
right.
today. And you did Miss beat me in school today. And the parents said, No, you ain't get no licks. You're very light.
Right.
Sorry for the language, but that is how I
Correct.
felt.
Yes, understood. All right. And so even as a child, you had that lack of support, but then you moved on into adulthood. Um, and one of the things, people always say to survivors, how could you not know? So talk to us a little bit about your first husband and the abuse. Were there signs that you probably saw and didn't really pay attention to it, or you didn't see the signs at all, or you just thought that his treatment of you was normal, seeing that you were abused as a child?
Well, the signs were there, The signs were there because he used to talk to me hard and he used to want to be embarrassing me in front of his workers. So I said, well, this too shall pass. But it never passed,
Okay.
right?
So the signs were, so you said the embarrassment in front of peers and colleagues and friends, but the physical. So was he physical with you as well?
Very much so.
In public, or was it in private?
In private. It had an interest in public too, where, if I may say, in front here, two of my
Okay,
teeth he pelted
knocked
out
out. Wow.
and in front of so in front here, not really my teeth,
Okay.
right?
So
And
the
even
damage was extensive.
it was very extensive.
Okay.
Even to, I remember we had a function at home and my sisters were there. And he waited until after my sisters left. And he hit me with the door on my foot, on my left foot. Right? And his words to me is that they don't go on already. They make care.
Oh, so he tried to keep you in a little isolated state so nobody would see or nobody would believe. But Denise, how long did that go on for?
It went on for about 12 years.
12 years. Wow,
Yeah.
that was a long time. And so what was the instant when you recognized, listen, enough is enough. I need to get out of this situation. What was the day or the moment that you recognized, nah, I can't do this anymore. I need to get out of this.
There were a lot of circumstances. One of them is where every day he used to be firing a cutlass. I will chop off your neck.
Okay.
And another thing is, he used to tell me that if anything happened to me, he will throw me down in the back and nobody could find me. And those were enough. And I had a stepfather who he loves me so much. And he said, no, my daughter is not to take that. He would say she have to come out. He would say I have to sleep on the ground. She has to come and live with me.
Okay. So you had that support. You had in your stepfather. So one of the things as social workers, we tell persons who are experiencing domestic violence is that they must have what we call an exit plan. You can't just get up one day and decide, look, I leave in, especially when the violence is to the point where he's threatening to kill you and nobody would know. So did you have an exit plan? And if you could share with us, what were these steps? Like I've heard women say, listen, I know that I'm going to leave. The next time he hit, we're going to leave. So I started to pack my bag. What was your kind of exit strategy that you used? Yes, you said you had a stepfather that loved you, but did you do anything like pack your bags before, call your stepfather and say, look, I'm coming today? What was your exit plan?
I always had a bag, always. And my stepfather, he was, how much more of this would you really take? So I had a few friends, so and they said, listen to me, you're not going to, you're not sleeping another night in this man's house because we don't want to come to our funeral.
Okay. So you had that support. And do you think, Denise, that support is very important for women who are going through this, or men?
It is very, very, very important, right? People who are going through this, they are not supposed to be shut. They are supposed to be supported. Right?
And what would the support look like if you were to give advice, let's say to a minister or to us as social workers, what would you say that support for these victims are supposed to look like?
One of it, have a trusted friend, right? Have somebody that's, I would say, a buddy, a trusted friend that you could talk to. You could call at midnight and say, here, what? This is what's going on. This is what is going on with me, right? Also, don't care how trivial it is, make a report to the police station. Yes, the police will laugh, but now with the advent of the gender-based violence unit, that is going to help. Both the gender-based violence unit and the child protection unit. It is a very big step. So my first thing, have a buddy.
Have somebody to talk to. Have a support system. So have a support system and report it. Those are critical. Okay, excellent.
Right.
So Denise, I also, I think a lot of women want to find out, they want to leave. They really genuinely want to leave. But they say you were fortunate that you had your support system. But I also get the impression that you are strong. You have your own strength from within, because I heard you say, this too shall pass, and it's a scripture that we all quote. If you were to advise a woman now, what would you say to her to help her move to the next step to get out of this violence?
All right. Okay. I'm talking about my sisters. Well, the first thing is that believe in yourself. Believe in yourself and believe that started get little vex money.
Yes.
Those kind of things, and put it down. Have a little, you might pass a one-room apartment, start to get
find out about it.
Get friendly with the person. Even it may mean to, when you get a little money, go to a furniture store. Start to pay
down. Okay, excellent. Right? So there must be a plan. Okay.
Yes, and do not feel bad. You are not alone. And I still go back to say, have somebody that you could talk to.
Right. Support is critical. But Denise, if I may, so your daughter, you said you had your daughter during this time, your first daughter during this time.
She's 19, yes.
So did she witness any of the abuse herself?
Yes, she did.
She did. And so what support did she get? Aside from having a very strong mother, what support did she get?
Well, I did. I got this police social worker. He spoke to her.
Okay,
and
good.
My co-workers.
Right, good.
They spoke to her as well.
Because I think coming out of student support services and National Family Services background, I know that once children or adults are supported and they get the necessary counseling, they're better able to move on in life and not make some of the same mistakes.
And even her teachers at Roxborough Sec and the social workers, because she went to Roxborough Secondary School, right. And they were there hands-on.
Working
and they actually called me and asked me, well, normally Denise is a bright student, an A student. What is really going on with her? And when I spoke to them, they assisted a lot. So it's support from the school in her case was there a lot too.
Was also critical.
Very much.
Excellent. So let's talk a bit on the positive side, because you know I speak to victims all the time, and one of the things they say, not me, you know, after they have left a particular relationship, they're not able to move on. But I heard and I saw in your bio that there's the love of your life, and so you know, speak to us from that place of moving on. you know, because sometimes, you know, you hear women say it, all man bad. After that one experience or that one bad experience, they label all men. So talk to us a little bit about how you moved to moving on.
Well, it took a lot,
Oh, okay.
right? At first, I was hesitant,
Mm-hmm.
and my husband was like, I am going nowhere. Right?
Excellent.
And one of the things he always said is that he's not living in the house with another woman without putting a ring on her finger.
Nice, good.
Right? And he all know he's one of my main supports.
So
He
he
respects
encourages you.
he respects me, he treats me as a lady.
Great, great,
Obscene
great.
languages we've been together. I've never heard an obscene language. If I speak to if he speaks to me and I say, well, so somebody case, baby, I'm sorry.
Wow.
Unlike the other one, who might have been using some F sharp and some T.
Okay, good. So, I mean, so you would say that, you know, there is life after the abuse.
Very much so.
There is life. You know, good things can come out of a bad situation.
Yes, and again, when you talk about motivation yesterday, we
Yes,
as women,
yes.
I found it to motivate myself to say, here, well, I'm not a bad person.
Good. You're not a victim either.
Right? I have to get out of this. I have two daughters to live for. They have to see their mommy as a strong person and not.
Yes, yes. Excellent. But you know, it's interesting. Sometimes we hear Tobago being a little different from us because of the smaller population. You know, they always say, and I saw in your bio that you were also a victim of incest. Would you say that that's still prevalent in Tobago?
Yes, it is.
It is. And I know with all the work, you know, I commend all the officers there who are working tirelessly to ensure that people are educated, that, you know, even the minister, she sits where she sits in the gender affairs and under the office of the prime minister, and all the work that has been that has been done in Tobago, you know, Dr. Carrington, when she was secretary in Tobago, you know, worked on bringing on the Children's Authority to Tobago to be able to allow persons who are victims of domestic violence and incest to be able to speak up and come out and talk about. So you said you motivated yourself. So I'm going to put you on the spot. So what do you do to motivate other women? Because I know that you are working at the police station and you're involved in the youth club, but what other work you do? You're a member of CHWHE, so yes, I know.
Yes.
What other things do you do to help other women?
Okay. There was a situation last year where I had a situation with a lady. She was a victim. I don't say victim, forgive me,
Good,
survivor. She came to my
good.
workplace and she was like, you see me and all the XYZ. So I said, listen to me, forget the uniform.
Right.
And we had a long conversation. And there's where she started to cry and whatever. And then myself and other ladies, we took certain steps, get on to the relevant authorities. And for today, that young lady, she's very much happier. The last report I heard is that she has moved on, she's gotten married and everything like that.
Excellent. So it's not that just, you know, some of us think, especially persons who are involved in church, you know, they say keep your business to yourself. But would you advise women to talk out?
I will advise it. Find somebody, find a trusted body.
Ah, that word again, trusted body to be able to speak out. Excellent, Denise. Excellent. So if I were to say you have an audience right in front of you now of women who are survivors, because like you, I don't like to use that word victim. You know, something happened in the past, you're no longer a victim of it. You went through the experience, you're now a survivor. what would you say to motivate and to boost their morale and help someone come out of a situation right now? If tonight is a night where, because of your words, because of your experience, you can speak to someone, what would you say to them?
They are not, that's what the first thing I would tell them is that they are not alone. No woman is stupid. That is a word I detest. That is not a word in my vocabulary, right? They are not alone, right? I will also tell them too that as I would have said before, find somebody who you could talk to, and even go to the police station, go to the different, have access to different social services. It may not be overnight, but stick with it. Do not give up. So I'm sorry to say I'm not bashing any men, because I have brothers, I have nephews, I have husbands.
Right.
Some of these men, when us women leave them, they come back with a mouth full of honey, and they're so sorry. And 2 weeks down the road, they're doing the same thing. But we as women have to tell them, no, hear me. I had enough of you.
Right.
I am seeing about me.
Excellent. Excellent advice. So self-care, self-awareness, have an understanding that you are worth more than this abuse. Have a trusted friend, someone that you can talk to, and then access these services. But one of the things that I really like that you said, Denise, is that it doesn't happen overnight. You know, constantly when working with survivors or domestic violence cases, you know, we expect them to change overnight, not remembering that this is a mindset. This is something that they have grown accustomed to. Some instances, it's been happening to them since they are children. And, you know, research from UE says that 1 in every 3 women are abused. And so, you know, we really need to be there for one another, to support one another, to, you know, to rally, to be that trusted friend. So your daughters, are you fearful that your daughters may miss some of the red flags, or do you talk to them about some of the red flags that you would have seen, you know, in picking up that this person may have the potential to be abusive?
If I may, my daughter Denise is 19 years old. There was a situation a while back where there was, I would say boyfriend, because at her age, she was staying in school, but she had a friend. And I remember a morning I went to Scarborough to meet her. And I do my children in a certain way where they tell everybody good morning, good afternoon.
Right.
When you get to the taxi, you tell the taxi where you're going, etc. And that morning, the friend of hers, we got into the taxi and she told the taxi driver she's going XYZ place. And he bawled on her. Now that sent off the red flags in my head.
You, right.
When they dropped off before me, because I was going to work and they were going X place. My words to this gentleman was, that is my first daughter.
Correct.
So it is say, I will put my foot where it hurts most.
Correct.
Do not.
Correct.
Do not. As it is, after she said, Mommy, thank you very much. I'm happy to say that she has moved on from this gentleman. And it's after I heard that.
Very good.
After I heard certain things, and she was like, but my mother didn't grow me up this way.
So she knew the road. She knew what was the right thing to do. So yes. That's excellent. So Denise, we have a few more minutes. So I don't know if there are any questions at this time from the Facebook live stream. Usually would ask Wendy to see if there's any questions that anyone may want to ask before we wrap up.
In terms of questions, not at the moment. We have loads of comments. We have comments. People are totally agreeing with some of the suggestions from both yourself and Mrs. Bailey Owen. I want to acknowledge your husband on the live.
That's
who is supporting you. We have Director Kwamina, we have Daniel Placid. I have a question, interestingly enough, Denise. I know Mrs. Bailey Owen would have touched on your exit plan, for want of a better word. Um, you mentioned a lot of support in terms of whether it was your stepfather or you actually knew the process, which made it a whole lot easier for you. How would you advise someone who doesn't have those, and in inverted commas, amenities?
Okay. Well, it begins and ends with them, right? That's the first thing.
Right.
Right? I'm putting myself as I don't have any support, right? One of
Okay.
these days, we as women, we will take until we cannot take anymore. We will get up one of these mornings and say, here, oh, this ain't going nowhere. So I need to get out of this, not even for me, especially when there are children involved. I need my
Right.
children to see me.
Right.
I need to be there for my children. I need to see my son or my daughter graduate. And if I'm in this situation, it will not happen. Right?
Let me ask you one more thing. So you said you stayed for 12 years. Looking back now, was there a point in time where you could have left earlier?
Yes, but I am not ashamed to say I was fearful.
Right.
Nothing to be ashamed of. We
Nothing to
spoke
be
about
ashamed
that fear factor almost every evening.
Correct. Fear is always, has to be guided by wisdom. Yes, so you're afraid, put a plan. That's why we always talk about a plan. Because if you're fearful and you move like a headless chicken, as they say, that could result in you losing your life. So nothing to be ashamed about in terms of your fear, but the fear didn't keep you back because there was a point when you would have decided to leave. So excellent. Really
One of the
excellent.
things I need to tell the ladies to find something that they love doing, and that may help it. Because simple as my hobby was, I love to read.
Okay.
And in reading, as I mentioned, Yana Van Zandt, her book, one of her books, Peace from Broken Pieces,
Yeah.
right? So I will say, your hobby, you could take straight up, if I may say, your hobby could be an exit plan too.
Yes, correct. That's so true.
Wow.
Using what you have. So Denise, I know that oh gosh, the time, this is one of those days that you think that you can go on, but I really have to commend and thank you for your openness and your willingness to share and not be about, sometimes you talk to survivors and it's about the story, it's about the actual abuse and not what comes out of it. And I really have to thank you for your strength, your willingness to be there for your daughters, to speak to them. I know earlier when we were chatting, you spoke about how much you tell them you love them on a daily basis and how much you communicate with them, which reiterates what we spoke about yesterday. Communication is key, getting across that message that says, I am worthy and I am loved and I am needed. And to your husband, I really want to say, my brother, thank you. Thank you for helping to love Denise back to who she really was, And even though it may seem like when we talk about gender-based violence, we focus on the woman. Even while we talked about communication yesterday, Wendy, you spoke about the victim, the perpetrators. Mrs. Manning spoke about the perpetrators. Even Minister, when she talked about the barber shop, they spoke about wanting our men to talk out. And so I really would like to encourage, the women who may be in this situation, or those of us who are online now and know someone, let's not forget the perpetrator. Because they too may have been a victim of something that got them to this place.
I would like to acknowledge your co-worker and colleague as well, who will be joining us on our final panel. Superintendent Guy Allen is on the live. And her message to you is, Denise, continue to be strong and being a testimony of surviving.
Oh, yes.
And Danielle Placid says, powerful, powerful session. And the comments are just amazing. And I really, it must have taken a lot for you to even agree to do this.
Yes.
I am considered brave and bold, but I'm not sure if I would be
Well,
able to do it. I don't know. I can't say, but I know it must take a lot of strength. So I
for
want to
me,
say thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, and we really do appreciate you
yeah.
being on this interview series. Tomorrow evening we have Mr. Rondell Fields. Hmm, that's gonna be an interesting interview as well. So we had the female today, and we have the male tomorrow. So Mr. Rondell Fields, a businessman and activist now, but he does have a story to tell.
Yeah.
He does have a story to tell. So thank you very much, Denise, Mrs. Bailey Owen, as usual. Thank you so much to everyone on the Facebook Live, all the comments, everything. Yes, Mrs. Guy Allen is saying perpetrators need to seek help and talk out. Yes, and we would be speaking to a perpetrator during the series as well. So it gets better and better. So thank you all so much. Thanks again, Denise. Thank you, Mrs. Bailey Owen. And of course, it will be on our live for people who would not have seen, be privy to see it this evening. And we'll share it far and wide and continue the message. And Denise, we are coming to Tobago.
Yes.
We
And
are
if I
coming
may
to
say,
Tobago.
if I may say, thank you very much, ladies. And my word, if my testimony can help someone, my job would have been done.
Definitely.
Amen.
And
Amen.
women, do not give up. As I told a friend of mine, this is it. Now is the time for us to fix each other crown instead of pulling it down.
Come on now.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Indeed.
Indeed.
Fix that crown. I love that.
Well
Well
said.
said. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Tomorrow.
Thanks again. We all do. We all need it from time to time. So have an amazing evening, everyone.